Have you ever woken up on a Monday morning, looked at the alarm clock, and thought to yourself, why am I still doing this? Not necessarily because you hate your job, but because deep down you're wondering, could I actually retire already? This is one of the most common questions I hear from people in their late 50s and early 60s. And there's the tricky part. Working one more year is almost always an improvement when we look at the math. But none of us are getting any younger, so at some point you have to start thinking more serious about when is the right time to retire. In this video, I want to walk you through 6 questions that I often discuss with clients who are trying to figure that out. And if you can answer yes to most of these, you might be closer to retirement than you think. If we haven't met yet, I'm Jonathan Bednar, certified financial planner and owner of Paradigm Wealth Partners. One of the biggest decisions we help people walk through is when to stop working. Because retirement isn't just a financial decision, it's a decision that impacts your entire life, your family's life, your life. And for most people, retirement is another 20 or 30 years of their life that they're not going to be working. So it's a big decision to consider, and this is where we start to think about, does it make sense? So let's start with these questions. Question number 1 is, are you deferring your life? I once heard someone say something and it stuck with me. Their comment was, there are 7 days in a week, and someday isn't one of them. A lot of people build their life around that exact idea. Work hard now, delay everything, and then someday in retirement, they'll start living. They'll travel, they'll spend more time with their family, they'll pick up the hobbies that either they haven't started at all and want to learn, or maybe that they haven't touched in a long time. But here's the uncomfortable truth. None of us are guaranteed another tomorrow. And now I'm not saying everyone should retire immediately. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into this decision. But if we consistently think through this and you consistently catch yourself saying things like, we'll do that after I retire, or I'll do that later, it might be worth asking whether retirement should happen sooner rather than later. The next question is your health starting to suffer? This is something I've seen happen more times than I can count. Someone works incredibly hard for 30 or 40 years. They've given their entire life to their career. And then once they finally retire, that's when health issues actually start popping up. Suddenly their energy isn't there. Travel becomes harder. Things they've looked forward to for decades or even the last several years, the big retirement trip or, moving to be closer to family, whatever they are, become more difficult. And these long careers that we have can take a toll on us even when we don't see it day to day. Stress builds up, you start to have sleep issues, you start to have high blood pressure, weight gain, lack of exercise. Most careers aren't exactly designed to keep us healthy. In fact, most careers nowadays, and this is not all of them, but most careers are behind a desk and behind a computer. And because of that, we're not as healthy as we once were. So if work is starting to impact your physical or mental health, that's a pretty important signal for you to be thinking about. Question 3, is it possible to work less? I think one thing most people often assume is that retirement has to be all or nothing. It has to be a hard stop. I'm putting in my 2-week notice, my retirement notice, and I'm done. I'm not working anymore, and it becomes an all or nothing decision. And I don't think that that's really necessarily the right way that it has to be done. Like it might make sense, but it doesn't have to be the only way you ease into retirement. Sometimes I actually think some of the best transitions from working to retirement is gradual. Maybe that means working part-time, consulting a few days a week, maybe stepping into a lighter role at your current job. And unfortunately, not every company allows that. You may have to do a clean break at one company, but maybe you're going to go pick up hours or volunteer or do something somewhere else to provide a little bit of income at another career as a way to kind of transition, as a way to maybe work part-time. And then you may be able to just stay at your current career and just scale back work to part-time or reduced responsibility and let someone else take on more of the managerial work. So those are some things to think about as you're planning this is, can you realistically scale back your workload? If your job doesn't allow that flexibility, retiring early might not actually be the better path. So think through the gradual transition to retirement versus just kind of the immediate stop. We're done on X date, I walk away, I wash my hands, and we're done. So again, I think sometimes these smoother transitions help people unwind emotionally and mentally from their job. All right, question 4 is, do you wish you had more time with family? This one hits home for a lot of people. Over the years, I've helped many clients say something, or I've heard many clients say something, I should say, that says, I feel like work took a lot of my time during my kids' younger years. Now suddenly my kids are grown, grandkids are starting to arrive, and family priorities are shifting. People realize how valuable time is. And the truth is, you can have almost anything in life, but you cannot get time back. It's one of your largest and biggest assets. Actually, it is the largest asset you will ever have. It's time. Father time, it's the only thing that you cannot get back. So working full time takes away some of the time you have from something else. So if you're feeling a strong pull to spend more time with family or the people you care most about, that's another signal that it might be time to think seriously about retirement. Question number 5, do you know what you'll do in retirement? This is an important question because people don't always think about this enough. They're thinking about crossing the finish line, not what do they do after they run the race. And so it's important to think about that. We spend decades, for most people, planning how to retire financially, but almost no time gets spent with people on what retirement will actually look like. And that can create a strange feeling once retirement starts. Again, you've finished the race. Think of it as you're running a marathon. You have run the Boston Marathon as an example. That's a big race that we see. And you've trained, you've prepared, you're running the race. And then as you cross that finish line, you just have this huge sense of relief. Everything you've worked so hard to do has paid off. You've won the race, you're there. But then what? Now there's no schedule, there's no training routine, there's no clear purpose. And so it's important that as you do this, as you're crossing that finish line, actually before you cross the finish line, you've got a plan for what you're going to retire to in retirement. So a lot of people are thinking about what they retire from. I want you to be thinking about what you're going to retire to. What are you going to do to fill your time in retirement? Question number 6, the final question is, can you actually afford to retire? And of course, we can't ignore the financial side. It's a huge, important puzzle piece in your financial plan. Even if everything else points towards retirement, you've answered the other 5 questions with a resounding yes, the numbers still matter. You need to understand things like how much can you safely spend each year? When do you claim Social Security? How do how do withdrawals impact taxes? Should you do Roth conversions? How will your investment support long-term care or care for health expenses later on in life? These are all questions that a solid retirement plan should answer, whether you're working with a financial planner or you're doing it yourself. You want to run these numbers before making the leap. So these 6 questions are vital in determining if you're ready for retirement. If you've answered yes to several of these questions, you might be closer to retirement than you think. But if you're still unsure, and that's completely normal, there's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety about crossing that finish line and the race being over. And so it's important that a lot of times you don't go at this alone. Retirement is one of the biggest life transitions you'll make. And the goal is to have a confident and clear retirement, not to just finish the race, but have a race knowing that you have prepared and you have participated in it with clarity, with confidence, so that you have the retirement that you've dreamed of. If you want to see what retirement actually looks like for many Americans today, including how much people spend, how your investment portfolio, how your financial plans stack up, if you can make it in your retirement, we can help with that. We provide the financial guidance, financial planning, investment strategies for you to know that you have the confidence to live in retirement. If you want to learn more, please go to the link, schedule some time with me in the description of this video. Be confident in your retirement. Have a wonderful day.